So I'm going to talk today about trying to make sense and adapt to the massive changes that are thrown at us working in the engagement sector. And we constantly discuss and talk about how we can serve our external community better, be more relevant, connected, and engaged. And yet I believe that we also need to look at our internal institutional community, how we are set up and engage with another to make us excel at our tasks. So almost 40 years ago, I joined the Scouts, and while the active phase of campfires, tents, games is long over, I find myself still scouting. I go and look in various places to find out things, I contribute to and serve my community, and I try to be a guide to others. That's why I've chosen 3 objects today that will hopefully guide you through the story of public engagement at Leeds so far. So my first object is a map. And as a scout, being able to read a map is kind of obvious. But it does depend a bit where you are a scout. In Germany, where I come from, there's a strong correlation between the physical existence of a path in the world with a representation of it on a map. In Britain, this correlation is a lot weaker. Here, if a path exists on a map, it does exist in the real world, even though you can't see it in the real world. It's called a public right of way. Now, let me draw you a map of public engagement at Leeds. During the last 5 years, Leeds played a bit catch up with other institutions when it comes to the institutional support for public engagement. Through the Research Council's Catalyst Seed Fund, we were able to put markers in the ground for PE at Leeds. We have a senior champion, we've signed the manifesto, we co-produced a strategy for cultural change, we have staff networks, we have the first mentoring and coaching scheme for engagement fellows in the country, we set up our research open day, we offer funding, public engagement is part of academic promotion criteria, and we were lucky to see our colleagues' work winning and being finalists at the Engage 2016 competition. And after 4 years of fixed-term funding, the public engagement team has been integrated to the Research and Innovation Service on an ongoing basis. So the map is rich of features, and as I said before, once something is represented on a map in Britain, it does exist in the real world. Now, what is our direction of travel? At this point, I'm using my compass, and we have used the compass metaphor as a part of our work. And our 4 directions are called social responsibility, trust, accountability, and research relevance. And we call it the STAR framework. Now, after 4 years, where we were part of the communications team, we moved to our spiritual home of research and innovation. After all, we are about engagement with research. Does our compass lead us into the right direction? Have we moved on from bolt-on public engagement? Have we embedded public engagement in processes, policies, and procedures? To a degree, yes, but a degree off course can lead to not ending up where you intended. So we checked our course. What is the overall aim? What do we try to achieve with research at our university? And it's to make a difference in the world. So how can we make a difference? By connecting and engaging with relevant demographics. We wondered whether it was time to change the language and concentrate on what unites us with other colleagues in other teams. Across the Research and Innovation Service and beyond, we promote engagement with research, and each team's expertise lies with different demographics. Could we benefit from working together and build a supportive environment where making a difference through research was the unifying aim? And this was the point when Engaged Research was born at Leeds. When the engaged research cycle is put center stage, when we ask at what stage does engagement make sense, when does it feel right to collaborate to make a difference in the world? And now engaged research is the cornerstone of our new emerging Engaged for Impact strategy at Leeds. My last object is a quick draw. For everybody who is not familiar with this object, it's composed of 2 carabiners and a piece of fabric, a sling. And it's used in rock climbing to attach the rope to pieces of protection in the rock. And I've chosen it to symbolize secure base leadership. Staying with rock climbing for a minute, the secure base leader is the B layer in rock climbing. It is the person who stays on the ground or behind, providing a secure base, on duty to secure the climber in case they fall. They also act as motivator and guide to the climber. It is with this B layer that the climber can reach the top. And the B layer may not be very skillful in climbing, but they channel the potential of the climber. And I find this metaphor extremely fitting for our work as engagement professionals. And in April this year, just as the first lockdown sent us all home and we had to adapt the way we work, our institution started to establish Policy Leeds, a team dedicated to facilitating engagement with policymakers. And their plans reminded me very much of our beginnings for public engagement when we had the map. Having set our course for engaged research, was this an opportunity to be a secure base and support their climb with our quick draw? So our institution rolled out Microsoft Teams earlier in the year, and with lockdown, we totally embraced this piece of software. And I'm really not a person who thinks that apps or pieces of software solve problems, but Teams allowed us to build a community around engaged research very quickly. We launched in July this year and have now over 600 members, which is open for everybody, for all staff members, and also postgraduate students. We provide specialist advice on policy and public engagement. Next week, patient involvement will come on board, and we're bringing more colleagues into the team as well. And the idea is that the team is the one-stop shop for engaged research.